What's happening, people? Hit that like, share the show. Get us out there. I think we're up on Instagram right now. We are up on Substack. Yeah. There we go. There we go. And the Twitch people are throwing the emotes in there. Looking good. Be up in just a couple of minutes. What's up, JJ? On Substack. David, welcome. There's George and Aaron and JR Short and Kiki on Instagram. Sharp Dennis, good to see you. Assad, good to see you. Hello. Donovan Deborah and Arpinto 2008, good to see you. Tay, what's going on? Hello. Kelly, how are you? Andrea and CSL, good morning. Mark P. Can I just say, Mark P, just hero of linkages these days. Really impressive. And yes, this is a sort of Scottish version of my theme song in honor of all the Scots that stood up to Trump and said, "Nay, Trump." Okay, Mike is excellent. YouTube's up, Facebook up. There we go. Substack up. I think let's get this started. Hi everybody, welcome to the show. Good morning. Good to have you here. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, etc., etc., etc. Regular shows the rest of the week. Sorry, I had to take a day off for personal reasons that I will probably go into later, but I don't have to. Anyways, all's well, as they can be. And that's all you need to know. That's it. And let me bring in our first guest of the morning, the Major Ojeda. OjedaForNC.com is the website. And then, of course, he does have an Instagram, folks. I want to bring that up, if I may. That's not it. That's Newsmax. Why are you doing that to me, you terrible, terrible thing? Hold on. I'll reopen the page on that. It takes a second. There we go. Properties. It always screws up, and after I take a break, it always loses its mind. It's this guy. Does it page it there? Is this guy? Nope. There we go. And then we pop back. There we go. It just needs a reset, I guess. Maybe that's what it is. There he is. This is the Instagram right there. If you want to sign up for that, as he's on the campaign trail, given what for and the like. So Ojeda for NC on Instagram. He's got 512. We got to get it up over 1,000 today. That's where we're going to go. Because he's got his regular one, but he also has the campaign one. Let's just try to do that. So if everybody can just hop on there at Ojeda for NC, we'll try to get him up over 1,000 today. That would, we got to set, brick goals. We got to just lay another brick and another brick and another brick. Good morning.
Glad to be here. So much stuff to talk about. I love your intro there. And it kills me when they were like, oh, I saw these videos. The people of Scotland are so happy that Donald Trump has came to the man. Let me tell you, they don't like Donald Trump. They despise Donald Trump.
Right.
Yeah, just crazy. And of course, we caught him cheating at golf. I mean, this guy he is such an embarrassment.
Oh, it was so pathetic. And then, I guess last night or something, I have to say, hold on, let's see if I can bring this up and show you whatever. He's returning from Scotland, and I don't know if they show the thing. It's so weird. Let me see if I could show yeah, there it is. Okay, so you know the story about how he flew back and he had this gaggle. Like while he was there, he said he blew up the whole Epstein bullshit story. Lied to everybody for a long time. Obviously, it was over a real estate deal, and they were still friends till 2007. Virginia Giuffre was working at Mar-a-Lago in 2000. Trump wrote he likes him on the younger side thing a year, in the interview said it a year later. So the idea that he was mad that Virginia Giuffre was poached as a 16-year-old from the spa, where why do you have 16-year-olds working in your spa anyways? Don't get me started. But it took him a while to get mad at him, apparently. It wasn't about the fact that he was hitting on a member's daughter, which was the lie that Glenn Beck and all these folks have told. It's because he was poaching workers. How dare you? And then on the flight back, he uses the phrase, he stole her, about Virginia Giuffre. He stole her. And then he brings out, I think he's got family traveling with him. I don't know quite who the people he's showing are, but this is the thumbnail. This is the thumbnail from that Forbes breaking news chose on his ride back. That's why I rest my case. They fucking hate him. Everybody hates him. Everybody in his press office hates him. Everybody in the White House, they're like all waking up to the fact that they work for this scumbag. They absolutely know. And the fact that this would be the shot, or that they would go, yeah, bring your niece, or it's a young golfer that was on there with him too, who's a young girl. He had all these like young like golf girls or whatever on the, and he's like, she's a great athlete, by the way. And like, just don't. I got to tell you, like, he stole her line. I didn't think I could get more livid about this shit. I didn't think it was possible. Like, it made the skin on the back of my neck hot. I was like, what the? Yeah, that's
it had nothing to do. Had nothing to do with the fact that he knew that Epstein was a pervert and he participated. He hadn't. He could have said, the guy's just the worst of the worst. He's a pedophile. Blah blah blah. He didn't. He said he stole a person that worked for him at Mar-a-Lago. And that's
who was 16.
The only reason why there was a fracture. Yeah, there's the only reason why there's a fracture there. And I'm going to say this too, and I know you may have a complete different thought about this. But so everybody now is hearing about this alien object out there that may be coming to America, coming to the world to attack us. First and foremost, how do you know that they're coming here to attack us? You know nothing about that. All of a sudden, you say you find something out there, way out there, and it's all of a sudden coming at us to attack us.
Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe it's just a friggin' rock. Maybe you're trying to take our eyes off of the Epstein files. And by the way, what says that they're not coming here to save humanity? Because we've already
from ourselves. Right, exactly.
This is just more stuff where they're going, look over there, because they know they don't want people looking at them, because they know that they're caught. And I think that they're caught. And I think that you're talking about members of Congress that as it gets worse and worse and worse, they're going to start flipping on Donald Trump. And I believe at the end of the day, look, J.D. Vance is out here now saying, we need to release it all. J.D. Vance knows that the moment that this is released, he moves right into the Oval Office, because this is what this was all about. This is what they planned from the beginning. Peter Thiel is the one. And I want to tell you, Don Jr. and Eric Trump, this is going to be the biggest slap in their face, because they are the ones that convinced Donald Trump, who didn't like J.D. Vance, because J.D. Vance had told the truth about him before. But his own sons are the ones that lured J.D. Vance not Lord J.D. Vance, but lured Donald Trump into accepting J.D. Vance so that they could potentially get into Peter Thiel's money that he has. And in the end,
and the crypto stuff, and they needed him to finance their crypto scheme.
Yeah, and in the end, Donald Trump is going to go down, and J.D. Vance is going to be part of actually taking him down, so that J.D. Vance will end up becoming the president. And that's what they wanted all along. They didn't want the buffoon Donald Trump, who's stupid.
Agreed. So I don't know if you've ever, one of my favorite conspiracy theories, the down the hole conspiracy theory, is that and there's a good conspiracy theory has awkward facts combined with a shocking event or circumstance and a lot of gaps in people's knowledge so you can make any connections you want. Okay, so Neil Bush is having lunch with Hinckley's brother on the day Reagan is shot. And the Hinckleys grew up around the Bushes. And so apparently they were, you know, it's one of those things where like they were watching it on TV before it happened, like those kind of things. Like they were sitting there with a drink going, this is the day my dad becomes president and your brother's going to help him. Like that's the theory. That's the conspiracy theory behind it. So that the idea was that Bush is in charge of, you know, the CIA during the early parts of the Cold War in the 60s. And they, you know, the old thing is they take him down into a basement and they go, they show him like the plan. He goes, okay, I'll do it. But I get to be president, and so does my kid, you know, and they just screwed up which one, I guess. But then, you know, the idea is they put him in second place, and this is why it's germane to this conversation. They put him in second place to a figurehead because he's too much of a dweeb to get elected without Reagan or somebody like that. He was very Cheney-like. Cheney's too gross and mean and gravel-voiced and fucked up to get elected. So you got to put him with a compassionate conservative who's going to be the decider, right? This is a system that the Republicans, that's why they think all of our candidates, the vice president is a Manchurian candidate, you know, that's running, or someone else is running the presidency under Democrats, because that's exactly what they do. So the idea was, though, and this is the true part, that the RNC was like, okay, Reagan, yeah, governor of California, but that's a figurehead job anyways. We don't care. So at that time, especially, we're going to put him with Bush. That'll settle everybody down. And then, you know, Bush will basically be the anchor in all of this. And he wasn't. Obviously, they were both up to their ass in Iran-Contra and all this kind of stuff, and they were both just as skeevy. When it comes to Trump and Vance, the idea is that Trump's fading. He's on a hard fade. His brain's turned into tapioca, and they fucking know it. And and the boys need a business model after he falls apart, after the Donald goes away. And, you know, maggots try to put him on Mount Rushmore, and that fades into, you know, in 3 months. What, are you going to put Epstein right next to him? Because that's how, like, somebody needs to, you know, like, anytime they put a picture of Trump on Mount Rushmore, there's got to be an Epstein head right next to him, like with a big granite arm around his shoulder. But you're right that they picked Vance as this kind of, to deal with the stuff Grandpa doesn't understand, right? To be the young guy hooked in to the technocrats. Now there is that split that probably we're dealing with in the White House right now, which was Trump, Musk, Peter Thiel, and Vance. Peter Thiel and Musk were part of the PayPal mafia, but they had a falling out allegedly, right? And Musk went on to make a lot more money than Thiel did. Thiel's kind of a fucking lunatic in his own right. He thinks he's fighting the Antichrist, which just, tells me like, fuck, if you're that rich, get a bunch of goddamn hobbies, like, because your life is going to be so fucking empty. But he's one of these eugenicist guys. He thinks half the population's got to go, that we're using resources for a bunch of useless eaters, old school Kissinger shit. And so the switch is, and this would be my question for you. The switch is, can Vance marshal MAGA the way Trump did? Or is it just going to be them taking advantage of the power of the presidency and going, fuck it, we're probably not going to get reelected, so let's just write ourselves some checks?
This is going to blow up in their face because the MAGA guys, they're never going to turn their back against Donald Trump. They are Trump through and through. And the moment that Donald Trump's going to realize this, and the people that absolutely are, in on Donald Trump are going to realize that, holy shit, this was stolen from us. Yes. And at the end of the day, we are going to be like, I couldn't give two shits about J.D. Vance as well. I think he's a coward. I think he's a chicken shit. I think he's a liar.
Yeah.
But this is going to blow up. He's not going to walk into the Oval Office with cheers from MAGA. This is, and I don't know, I hate it because nobody is putting in this fight. I'm still pissed at the way the Democrats have handled this election. The fact that we hear about, votes and Donald Trump's even said it about 100 times, that Elon knows those machines better than anybody. And,
right.
My thing is that, where's the fight? If you found out that Kamala Harris got 0 votes in a precinct in New York, I mean, I
Mhm.
just look and I say, the night before the election, Kamala was ahead on 7 of the 8 battleground states by 10 points.
Mhm.
10 points of 7 of 8, 2 points of the other one, and the other one was Nevada, and she was ahead by 2 points. Everywhere else, she was up by 10. How does he come back the next day and sweep everything? And
Right.
I still don't think I think that it was stolen. And what
Mhm.
bothers me is that when the Republicans say something was stolen from them for the next friggin' 4 years, that's all we hear of. We're still listening to Donald Trump talk about 2020 was stolen, even though we know that it wasn't stolen. But yet the Democrats could potentially have a presidential race stolen from Kamala Harris, and we got what? Crickets? I
Right.
mean, what the hell, man? Get your heads out of your asses and get in here and let's find this stuff out. Because the truth is that if that race was stolen, when Donald Trump goes down and he's going down friggin' in flames, it
Yeah.
shouldn't be J.D. Vance replacing nobody. It should be
Mhm.
damn Kamala Harris if she won that race fair and square.
Well, and I think one of the things that Trump does all the time is that if he knows he's committed a crime or he's done something wrong or he's going to get busted for it before the story comes out, or or as a part of it, claim the other side is doing it, so that when the other side says, "Wait a minute, you're the thief," it sounds like sour grapes or
Yep.
simple schoolyard tit for tat. And he does this all the time. I mean, and he's trying to do it around the Epstein stuff right now. And in terms of like what you're saying about the maggots never leaving him, right now, apparently, he has the lowest approval rating he's ever had, 40%. And that is, I would argue, about 6 points above base MAGA. That when you talk about the people that will never go anywhere, he's 6 points over that. And that's terrible for Republicans next year. That's terrible for Republicans in 2028, including Vance. They know it. And
Yeah, who are
our
they going to hold
yeah,
on to?
right.
Yeah, who are they going to hold on to? Right now, we're at a point where I think the Republicans are looking around and they're like, okay, who do we have to protect more than anybody, and who are we going to have to cut ties with? Because I think they know the Democrats are going to take back the House.
Yeah.
I'm running against Richard Hudson, who's the head of the NRCC. I have a feeling that no matter how much money he wants, they're going to give to him. But once again, he's not putting boots on the ground. I am. I'm going all over this place. But I really believe that we are going to take back a lot of cable. Hold on
Yeah.
a second. Hold on.
That's all right. It's you're a
I'm on a
man on a
podcast.
mission. Uh,
Yeah, I'll call you later. Okay.
By the way, I just want to say ojedifornc.com, and then of course check out the Instagram while he's I'm doing business for you if I could. Ojedifornc on Instagram. I think we've gained about 20 already. Okay, we can get there. Keep going.
Sweet,
All right,
sweet.
just bit by bit, and we'll keep pushing this. And I agree. Look, I'm of the belief that there has to be a multi-tiered strategy from the Democrats. If you're going to talk about a broad base, you're going to need, in a standard battle plan, and I hate making fight analogies when it comes to legislation, but for this purposes, it's valuable. You're going to need land, sea, and air. You're going to need, boots on the ground. You're going to need airstrikes, and you're going to need submarines. You're going to need people who can, and I would argue that the people who are like, going after Trump on a more legislative level or attacking it on a more like, look, in all deference to my friends, I think we all agree tariffs can be valuable in a circumstance, like that would be the submarines. The airstrikes are Epstein, just from the top. And everybody in the middle is like issue by issue by issue, which I think you and I are a part of. Right now, just for the record, live, the Gang of Five, the Dems used the Gang of Five rule in Homeland Security to demand the Epstein files themselves in the Homeland Security thing. Because if he belongs to intelligence, they have the right to know it, right? Because that's the statement even Republicans have been throwing around, and that's been their defense for not releasing shit. And so they're like, no, we're on the Gang of Five rule is we don't have to be in the majority to get this stuff. We can't issue subpoenas, but we can get this shit. Right. And so right now, live, it's on another channel right now. The there is a group of Republicans, Blumenthal. Let's see, there's a couple other people. They're all demanding, as members of the Gang of Five, the Epstein files, and they have the right to do it under Homeland Security grounds if he was, quote unquote, if he belonged to intelligence, right? So that would be, I think, a ground level fight. That's like, okay, we're going to get this stuff. We can use the rules to get what we need, right? And then, like you're talking about with the election stuff, I feel like that's the airstrike too. Those two combinations can start building. Like, not only was he lying about Epstein, but he probably lost the election too. And let's start hammering that, because both of those things will drive him fucking crazy.
Yeah,
and rightly so.
Yeah. I think you're right, and I think that 2026 and 2028. With Donald Trump, it's going to be absolutely a catastrophic elections for the Republican Party. We know we're going to take back the House. We're just trying to figure out by how much, and I hope we take it back with a huge majority, which we should, because once again, there's going to be a lot of things that we get to throw in their face. This big, beautiful bill that they recently passed that's kicking 13 million people off of their health care. It's like I get to throw all of this right into the face of my opponent who voted yes on that bill. So, who sit quiet while Elon Musk fired 7,000 workers at the VA, and this big, beautiful bill targets 86,000 jobs at the VA. So, these are the things that we get to throw in their face. And me being in the district that I am, that actually has Fort Bragg within my district,
right?
I mean, I get to bust his ass about the health care. I get to bust his ass. These people are now talking about saying that they don't think it's right that basically people that are disabled through the military should also be able to draw retirement. And the thing about that is that, I draw my retirement because I gave you 24 years of my life.
Right.
I gave you the best 24 years of my life. From literally 19 until I, retired in 2014, I gave the best years of my life to Uncle Sam. I earned my disability because over the course of those 24 years, you sent me into harm's way multiple times into Iraq and Afghanistan and Haiti and Honduras. And you sent me, I left my family for years at a time in order to serve my country. And, I'm going to throw this in their face every chance that I get, and that's why we've got to continue letting people know this stuff. Every single veteran out there, if you are not scared, you're not paying attention, especially if you are retired and you're also disabled through the VA. And once again, people don't understand the way the disabled, the way the military does it is they look at every single thing that happened to your body while you were in, and they give it a rating. And some ratings, 0. They'll say, we understand that you have an issue, but we don't see that it's anything that's affecting your life, so we give it a 0 percentage. But I mean, if you add up all of the 10%, the 20%, the 50%, mine comes to 270%.
Right.
I spent 24 years in units that were light airborne sapper units. We jumped out of planes all the damn time. We beat the shit out of our bodies. So we deserve all this stuff. But we have an administration right now that is absolutely doing everything in their power to cut those capabilities, not because you don't need them, but because they're just trying to figure out how they can find more chunks of cash to stick in their own pockets and give to their billionaire donors. And that shit is a slap in the face, and it's a stab in the back.
Right. And I gotta say, I know I feel like a broken record on this thing, but the VA Access, Choice, and Accountability Act that Trump takes credit for all the goddamn time is HR 3230, the Veterans Access, Choice, and Accountability Act of 2014. That is something Democrats did, and you must understand. Like I've been saying this for a while. If we don't start cheerleading the things that we successfully implement for the betterment of our veterans, of the poor, of the disabled, of the like kids in like low income areas with bad schools and stuff, if we don't start championing things like SNAP and this or whatever, Donald Trump and his asshole friends are going to come in and take credit for it, and the MAGA faithful are going to go, look, he finally did something, and
they
because
want stupidity.
Yeah,
they need stupidity.
Yeah,
is what they need. And look, let me tell you, just because you're not in the know, I'm not trying to say you're stupid, but once again, they need people to only focus on one channel that will never tell them anything negative about Donald Trump and his administration. They want everybody looking at Fox News 24/7, and now not even Fox News, Newsmax or something like that,
right?
Because of their issues. I have plans that are going to. And I'm willing to stand on that House floor and say what I got to say and understand. I know how to push legislation and get people behind my bill. When I made West Virginia the 29th state to become legal for medical cannabis, even the Democrat says, you better not try that. You're going to piss a lot of people off. Look, you think I give a shit about pissing people off? I don't give a shit about pissing people off.
Right.
I'm going to do what I think is right for the people. I want a legacy that says, hey, that guy fought the good fight. Other than that, I don't give a shit. I'm going to fight the good fight. I made West Virginia the 29th state because I got people behind my bill. And in the end, I even got Republicans to vote for my bill because they knew that if they voted against it, it was going to be a slap in the face to a lot of their constituents too. I am absolutely wanting to go to Washington, D.C., and there's a lot of things that I want to do. I want to bring back the fairness doctrine. I want to remove the cap on Social Security. I want to kill Citizens United. I want to oppose right-to-work legislation. But I want to also look at two things. Number one, I want to create a VA style, like I have in the military. The Veterans Administration takes care of me. When I retired from the military, I'm covered. My health care is covered. But guess what? Do you know who's not covered when they retire? Police officers, firefighters, first responders, correction officers. These are people that literally are supposed to work until the day they die because they don't have anything that takes care of them when they retire. So we need to create something like that for them. We also need to, and I'll start with this, an educated child in southern West Virginia and eastern Kentucky is just important as an educated child in New York, New York, Los Angeles, California, Austin, Texas, Seattle, Washington. Everybody deserves to have the best education that you can.
Yep.
One of the reasons why we don't have that is because states differ on how much they pay teachers. If you're a teacher in California, you're making $90,000 a year. But if you're a teacher in southern West Virginia, you got a master's degree and you're making barely $40K a year. So once again, you're talking about teachers that are working their friggin' lives away and they don't have anything to show for it. When they retire, they live in squalor for the rest of their friggin' lives, and that's bullshit. I want to, and I'll raise the taxes of the friggin' billionaire class, but I think that we need a nationalized teacher pay scale in the United States of America that starts every teacher at $70,000 with a bachelor's degree, a master's degree. They start with a little more, and every 5 years there's an automatic bump up in pay. We start school service personnel at $50,000 a year. And let me tell you something. We pay bus drivers $27,000 in North Carolina to drive our most prized possessions to and from school safely in the rain, sleet, hail, and snow. And that's bullshit. They're living in poverty, and they're the ones that are taking our kids. We should pay them more than what we're giving them. But if we did a nationalized where everybody is the same across the country. Now, if California wants to continue paying their people more, they can do that. I'm fine with that. But we should have a standard baseline that nobody goes below. And that's Kentucky, West Virginia, Tennessee, Alabama. Because I would say if we did that, you wouldn't have border county teachers jumping over to the states next to us because they make better pay.
Here's a great example. So one of the things that came up in Trump's trip was like food aid for Gaza, and he was talking about like being a dick and saying, hey, we gave so much money and nobody said thank you, and we think Israel will handle it, and they're worried about Hamas taking the food and giving it away, and that is a realistic thought. And here's what my response was when I thought of that, and it kind of ties in what you're talking about with schools. then if the issue is that you're putting out aid and Hamas is stealing it and then selling it or rationing it off, then here's my response. Love bomb them. Put in so much food, Hamas couldn't hope to fucking store it. Overdo it. Take the volume of humans that are trapped in that area during this war and literally make one of the biggest worries they have, and I'm being facetious, of course, bags of rice landing on their head. That the idea is that you flood all that food so that it loses any currency value in this circumstance. Will some of it get wasted? Will some of it get turned around? Absolutely. But what you do is you go, okay, we need whatever, 3,000 calories a day. Let's do, Let's do 21,000 calories a day per person. And work with the UN, any Arab partners that I'm sure they've all got it. We just go, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're worried about them weaponizing this. So we're going to drop so much fucking food. They're not even going to look for, you're not even going to have to send in outside shipments. We're going to airdrop it in. It won't cross borders at all. You won't have to worry about trucks coming in with guns hiding in them or any of that shit. Just overwhelm it. That's how you do it, right? And that would solve it. It absolutely would solve it. People can bitch about wasted food and whatever. Like, look, the price versus life thing is ridiculous. Yes. And I think that's how you handle refugee camps as well, is that you love bomb them with too much food. Because not only does it save lives, not only does it give them options, and you could do that with like what we do with government cheese and that kind of stuff. Every European country has pantries that have overflow, even beyond what they can give to like homeless people in the area. Just literally daily flights, big airports or whatever. This is what we're going to do. We're going to fly it in. They're all going to go into, like bombers. We're going to attach, we're going to like low strafe drop this stuff with parachutes attached all the time. And it will be expensive, but it won't be as expensive as losing children and lives. And then the goodwill you buy on top of that can buy you safety, security, and limited, loss of life later on. You're already doing this. So the same thing applies, in my mind, to schools that are, we shouldn't be arguing that, about school funding if we're overdoing it with military funding. Because I've always said, if you spend so much on military, but you let the interior of the country fall apart, then what the fuck are they, are the people we're sending to give their lives to defending in the first place? A heap of garbage. Like one of the reasons why you make sure your infrastructure is up to date, why you make sure that everybody has broadband, why you have really good schools and stuff, is so that it also tells the soldiers that are going out to fight for, like, look, this is what we're taking care of our own. That's part of what we're fighting for. And we want other people to know that's how you're supposed to live. So, and that's worth, giving your body and your heart for, right? And so I just feel like we should overdo it with schools. Schools should have a problem with, like, we don't know where we're going to put all these fucking pens and pencils. We got too much paper. We're fine. Like, that's when you've hit it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the future of our country.
Yes.
And everybody has to understand that an uneducated population is not going to elevate people out of the poverty that they are in. And, we've got cruelty. We've got, people that want to, right now there's $9.7 billion worth of contraceptives that they're getting ready to set fire to.
Right.
This is $9.7 million that has already been spent.
Yeah.
You already have the stuff that is there. But instead of allowing them contraceptives to go to the countries that need them, countries across Africa, countries across the Caribbean, Central America, South America, impoverished countries out there, we're more than willing to set them on fire. We literally allowed for food to rot that USAID had already spent $2 billion for. That's not a good administration.
Right.
That's not people that care about other people. And at the end of the day, this is the kind of stuff. This is what vilifies people in the eyes of everyone else. The only people that think that this is acceptable in the United States of America are the friggin' racist jackaloons.
Yes.
That just, they don't care. But I'm sitting here like, look, when China said we're going to drop supplies into Gaza, and if any of you even act as if you're going to try to stop us, we will make your asses disappear. And China
Right.
flew right over and they dropped all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, that right there made me go, you know what? That's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That right now, China looks like a better friggin' friend than the United States of America. Because let me tell you something. By killing USAID, they didn't do a damn thing but grab a chunk of money that was allocated for USAID and pushed it to Elon and the billionaire class.
Right.
That's what they did. They literally have destroyed. They have destroyed the way we are thought of and looked at across the globe. And make no mistake about it, where we used to be, where we worked with people to win hearts and minds, we're not there anymore. But China is.
Right. And I would like to say for the record, when we're talking about and also China, one of the reasons why China is doing that is to counterbalance the fact that they're killing Uyghurs and rounding them up and putting in a concentration camp, and they've got ISIS-K on their doorstep because of that. And so they're trying to create, like puff pieces, but I don't care. If they're doing it just for show, it still ends up saving lives. And that should apply to what we do as well. Like, even if people are like, we're just trying to apologize for what we did before. Good. Then we should. It doesn't matter as long as you're saving lives. We'll worry about your fucking ego later. And I would also like to point out that one of the things that Trump brings up all the time about education in the United States is we spend more per student than other countries, and we're 44th in the world. Okay, first of all, if you took out the red states, we'd be 4th. So don't get me fucking started. Secondly, the states with the biggest outlay for education, that spend the most per student, guess what? Best outcomes. Most college graduates, higher grade scores, higher literacy rates. It's no shock. The more you spend on education, the better your kids turn out. But because states like New York spend $27,000 per student, and more of their students go to college, and more of their students go to university, and more of them become doctors and lawyers and all kinds of stuff like that. And Louisiana goes, fuck it, and spends 7 or 8 if you include federal funds per student, and most of their kids live like below the poverty line for most of their existence. That's why. There is no better example of why spending more on education does help, why spending more per capita does help. It's just that we have 3 different tiers of educational beliefs in our country. There are sections of this country, Washington State, New York State, California, Illinois, other states like that, that go, education's important, we're going to spend on it. And they spend a lot. And then there are a bunch of states that go, they're indoctrinating our fucking kids. I ain't putting my money towards that. Or they're paying with property taxes, and the trailer park doesn't have any fucking property taxes. So the whole school runs on federal grants. Because they got nothing.
I think, look at MAGA. These are people that think that they are in the know, and the majority of them that you just cannot have a conversation with,
right?
They have little to no education whatsoever.
Yeah.
Anybody that's got anything between their ears can plainly see the corruption that's going on in our country. I think that a lot of it also has to do with genetics in terms of education. My father is a graduate of the Mayo Clinic. That's like Harvard for medical students.
Sure.
I grew up, and you grew up you grew up on the Eastern Kentucky education system. I grew up in the Southern West Virginia education system. And you and I both know that, you know what? It really didn't teach us that much. It really didn't. I mean, I will tell you, I look back today and it pisses me off. I love to travel. I've been to 71 countries. It is a passion of mine. I go as often as I can. I look back and I think to myself, wow, amazing. Imagine what it would have been like if I had a geography teacher that actually friggin' was like passionate about geography, because I would have loved that class. I never got that class. My science class was, hey, turn to the chapter of the week. Find a picture in that chapter that you want to draw on a piece of paper and turn it in. And that was my grade. That was it. I never
Yeah.
got taught about science, but I'm going to tell you this, and I have to say this. I would say that you probably have some pretty intelligent people in your family. I have some intelligent people in my family. And once again, I grew up in a shitty freaking education system. Now,
Yeah.
not all teachers were bad, but I had a lot of teachers that were absolute garbage that shouldn't have received a payday. They didn't care.
Right.
I had a teacher that yelled "poll grade" when the bell rang. If you didn't say anything, you got an A. If you spoke, you got an F. I got a C in that damn class. But that was pretty much it. But I mean, I think that you and I, even though we come from some of these places where education is not really known as something that they hold near and dear to their heart, it's just that we were.
It's a family thing. It's a family thing. Honestly, in the South. Okay, so there used to be a thing, a concept of the Southern gentleman. This idea that that the founding fathers spoke French, read philosophy. There was a depth to being a Southern gentleman, or the genteel Southern. Even if you were poor, that's why people in the in the 20s and stuff would wear a fucking suit, even if they were broke. You see people on bread lines in a fucking suit and tie. But the reason is because there's a standard you don't go below. All right. At one point that just broke down because it doesn't necessarily feed you, and I get that. But in our family, because education was, and I'm fairly certain it was the same way in yours, was respected by the family. At home, you read. At home, you studied. Maybe when you went to church, you didn't just listen to the cute stories in the Bible, but the deeper, the parables and that kind of stuff, which cause you to think a little bit more, as opposed to just the Christmas message every year, right? There's elements of it that were integral to growing up in the South, but it wasn't the fucking school. And when I moved from, and bless their hearts, like Frankfort, Kentucky is the capital of Kentucky. And I went to Franklin County High School 1 year. And when I moved to Chicago to live with my dad, New Trier zeroed out my credits except for band. They let me keep band because all the other classes that I was taking there were below the standard of New Trier High School. They're like, you got to retake these. You're not going to be able to even make it here if you don't retake these. And so I had to start basically from scratch. I moved up there as a sophomore and started as a freshman. And I had to bus to New Trier West every day where the freshman classes were taken so that I could catch up during that. Yes. And New Trier is one of those things where, like, it's paid for by the property taxes of the area. It's a very rich area, especially Kenilworth, which is one of the richer areas, whatever. But there is a direct line between people that respect education, were the first or second in their family to go to college, university, getting a better life, and going, I want more of my tax dollars to go to make the schools better. And then that next generation going, you know what, we need to add a gym. And that one going, we need a bigger library. That's how these schools happen. And the same thing happens in the fucking South, where they're like, we don't need that shit. And then they stop hiring teachers around topics because they're like, foreign language, music, theater, that's the first to go. Then geography goes. You can roll everything under social studies, kind of, right?
Yeah.
And they put 3 subjects under one fucking teacher, when in other schools, that's a whole fucking part of your curriculum. Even if you're going by semester. New Trier did by, like, certain classes. In the semester, you would learn what other kids at other schools learned in a whole school year. So that you would just change classes during the school year. And that school looked like a fucking, like, it looked like a university. It looks like, if you ever see a picture of New Trier, it's like these old-fashioned kind of, like, Gothic institutions. Like, this is huge fucking building. We had a theater that had we built a 2-story pirate ship for Pirates of Penzance on that fucking stage. When I was at Franklin County High School, we had a stage. It was only used for assemblies once a month, maybe. And if there was a play, it was fucking cardboard sets this big, and nobody came. Like, they didn't give a fuck. And the band studio was behind that. Was like in the room behind. It was like basically the dressing rooms, effectively, of the theater. And you just gather. There's like one big room in a semicircle, and that's what you just used. Now it stays there, and then you do play. Like, it's fucking embarrassing, and it's because they don't like. It's sad, and Trump and that crowd, they count on it. They feed on it. They need it.
No, you're absolutely right. I will tell you in reference to schools, like my kids, they grew up. Went to school on Fort Bragg. They went to school when I was Command General Staff College at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. They went to school on the base. And I'm going to tell you that, that's the thing about the military people don't realize. The military spares no expense on making sure that the kids that are getting educated on the military bases are getting the best education that is possible. And I will tell you that, the military, when they hire teachers, they hire the best of the best.
It's in the military budget. Oh my God. That's exactly what we're talking about. Like the military budget covers that, and we flood the military budget, when active military, I would say. We flood that budget, right? So that we can keep people in and get people coming in. Like, oh yeah, your kids will go to school on the base. It'll be great and whatever. And they hire great teachers because there's sort of an endless supply. And then you go, oh, look. These kids turn out to be much better educated, brighter, and more successful, not just because of the environment they were in, but because,
Yes, when my kids went to grade school on Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, and their grade school was actually nicer than most colleges that I have seen and been to. And I want to tell you, like, I remember like we're talking, my kids were like in like the 4th and 1st grade. We're talking sitting down at their desk and pushing a button and a damn computer comes up from the desk. Smart screens all around the walls. I went to a musical event where the kids, and they were playing instruments that were instruments I've never seen before. They were from Africa. That was the type of musical stuff that they did. They had a planetarium in their grade school. And when my kids left and we decided to move back to West Virginia, when I retired, my kids, when they started in the middle school, teachers contacted us and said, we've never seen anybody like your children are so polite and so kind to other people because they don't play that shit on military bases. But it was also my kids were killing it. They were making my son was straight A's all the way through school.
Right.
And it was like once we got there, it wasn't even hard. I mean, they didn't even have to study. It was just they were just head and shoulders because of the education that they had received. While they were, under me in the military. Right. And the thing is that we need that type of education in Eastern Kentucky and Southern West Virginia and Tennessee. And the reason why they don't like that education is because a poorly educated population is an easily duped population. And they know right now that the only way the Republicans stay in power is if they continue duping these MAGA people. And make no mistake about it, whenever they're going to figure out a way to ease in the blow, to lighten the load when they move over from Trump to J.D. Vance, because they still need. That's the only reason why they ran Donald Trump, is the Republican Party said, we can't win without MAGA. So let's run Donald Trump. Let's push MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. Let's get in there. And the plan that is now unfolding before all of us is let's get in there. Then we'll friggin' let Donald Trump be Donald Trump, and it will only be a matter of time before we remove him, and then J.D. Vance can step his ass right on in there, because that's exactly what Peter Thiel wants, who, by the way, is also the main guy in that Palantir shit that's going to be able to basically watch and, look at everything every one of us do. And
everything. Oh my God. Everything Alex Jones ever screamed about on his fucking show is all in this administration. And he's one of their biggest cheerleaders. If it wasn't for the Epstein thing, he'd be all in on this stuff, including the Palantir. And listen to him talk about it is like, well, I am a bit concerned about the Palantir thing. And you're like, are you out of your fucking mind? It's exactly what you said was like, Democrats were were already doing, DARPA and all that shit. It was already happening. And A, you lied about that because it obviously hasn't happened yet. And B, when it does finally come along and they're overt about it, you're like, well, I don't know. It's not a big deal. Let me tell you a little story. And I don't really talk about this much because I don't like address my family shit very much because I'm on this show, they're not. But my sister has a learning disability, and I grew up with an older sister who was 4 years older than me, but had to take special education classes her entire life. She's dyslexic, and she has nervous disorder and other issues that go with it. And because of special education funding from the federal government, the kids in the special education department got a better education than the regular kids because they had to, because of the necessity of how hard it is. You got better teachers that had to be more patient and worked harder, okay? And my sister, because she enjoyed it so much, wanted to be a teacher. She just loved going to school because of all, how much attention they gave and all that kind of stuff. And she would come home at the end of school. She went to school an hour longer than I did. So I was home by myself. And you know what this is like, in the fucking woods. For, my mom and dad would get home like 5, 6 o'clock. My sister would get home at 3. I'd get home at 2. And good Lord, like the amount of latchkey going on. But my sister would get home and play school. So she would sit my ass down and she taught me to read when I was basically 4 years old. Because the system they use to teach an 8-year-old girl with learning disabilities how to read is how you can use those same techniques to teach a 4-year-old kid without those challenges how to read. And so the first book I ever read all the way through on my own was The fucking Hobbit. My mom got me a copy of the Hobbit and I read the whole thing. And I was like, I'm finished. And she was like, what is this child, right? But it was because my sister taught me to read. And like it's why like I get so enraged about like the education funding and how much these people deserve it. And I gotta say, I don't want to hear shit from any governor or any Republican at all. From Arkansas, Mississippi, Alaska, Montana, who else? South Dakota, because they rely more on federal funds than any state. They get 25 to 30% plus of their funding from the federal government. So they'll tell you, like, I don't want to hear a single governor, Republican from those states going, the federal government doesn't know what it's doing, and we got a states' rights, blah, blah, blah. Shut the fuck up. If it wasn't for the federal government and the tax dollars from California and stuff, you wouldn't even have any, like, baseline schools. So I don't want, the idea that you guys are going to run for office federally is fucking embarrassing. Like, you should be a senator from any of those states. Should be fucking embarrassed to stand up on the floor until their state can stand on its own.
And I'm going to tell you this. And I think you're going to say, you heard it here first. I believe that the reason why Donald Trump and them have literally refused to give aid, and right now they've denied aid to Mississippi, Missouri, Oklahoma. Yep. There's a few places they've said, no, we're not going to help you. FEMA's not coming. I believe that the reason why they're doing all of this is because they're just waiting, because they want, and it's going to blow up in their face. What they want to do is they want these wildfires to kick off in California. And they want to look at California and say, hey, we didn't give aid to Missouri and Mississippi, so why should we give aid to you? And it's going to blow up in their face.
Yeah.
Because Gavin Newsom is smarter than they are. And Gavin Newsom will say, okay, no problem. You don't want to help us from the wildfires? We'll take care of ourselves. California has like the 5th largest friggin' economy in the world. That guy knows how to handle a country. So you know what? Gavin Newsom's just going to say, okay, no problem. Instead of us sending this much money that we send every year to the Washington, D.C. friggin' assholes, we're going to keep that money and we're going to take care of ourselves. And California will take care of themselves. But make no mistake about it, it's going to absolutely hurt everybody. Get ready. Hurricane season is now upon us. Louisiana, Florida, South Carolina. Wait and see. Wait and see what's going to happen. Wait and see what happens. And make no mistake about it, if they continue doing this denying of things like that, it's going to blow up in their face.
I agree. So one of the things too is that you're going to see, there's going to have to be some sort of response by blue states, especially ones that deal with like weather events that other ones don't. The ones on the West Coast right now. There's a tsunami warning on the West Coast and in Hawaii because of this earthquake outside of Russia on the east coast of Russia, which was an 8.6, I want to say. Which is, I was in a 7.2. That's like 5 orders of magnitude higher because it's a weird scale when it comes to the Richter scale. And there were like 5.6 aftershocks immediately. 8.7. Thank you, Salty Sylvester. And that's not included in hurricane season, in wildfire season, in all that stuff, which is getting worse because of climate issues. So I do think there's going to be a thing where certain states are going to go, we're going to have to pass a law in the state that we can't give away certain federal funds until we cover our base. We've got to create a fund. And I would argue that all these states, and I think the federal government, if Democrats want something to do in the federal government, we want to, we should put forward a thing where states can start what is effectively an infrastructure bank for each of their needs for emergencies, since we know these things come in seasons, because we know they require a certain amount of work. No matter what you do, there's always going to be another disaster around the corner. So states should be able to set up what is effectively a savings and loan within the state that builds up a nest egg for emergencies like this, using the tax dollars of the state and backup from the federal government that guarantees a certain amount, so that the federal government, the tax dollars, don't have to dole it out if it's on the regular, right? There might be more. There are certainly situations where they won't be able to handle it, especially during the buildup of this thing. But if they could build a $6 billion fund, most of the bigger states could. They would also be able to institute loans to states that need to build up, that have run out of their federal funds. So that they, instead of getting a loan from a regular bank, they can go to a loan from a state bank, and the state's bank doesn't need a profit. All the profit that comes from the interest that they would take would go back into their schools, would go back into their infrastructure, as opposed to just profit out to, anybody who's involved in a regular bigger bank like Citigroup or something, right? So, by the way, there's Tara in the background. We'll bring her in just 1 second. I want to remind everybody, Ojeda for NC, he's not only, is at ojedafornc.com, but also on Instagram. We're at 545. We got you about 30, I think, in this last little bit. That's good. We'll keep pushing that and start building those numbers up over time, because it'll help as we get closer to the election. We got basically a year from the mad dash. Right about now we're about a year away from the mad dash. So I'm gonna do everything I can with you and for you, my brother, to put the bricks in place so that we're moving you in a better position. And then once we get in that mad dash, anything you need, just call in the marker, my man, and I'll be there on the phone lines or knocking doors, whatever you need. I'll fly down there and gather. Yeah, whatever you need.
I appreciate everything you guys do. I always enjoy being on this show. I hate when I can't be on this show. I know last week there was something going on politically. Yeah. My schedule's going crazy, but I'll tell you right now, every chance I get to be on here, man, I always enjoy it. I always feel like I walk away with an education. I appreciate you, Hal. I mean, you are definitely by far one of the good ones. Personally, I don't understand how come, you should have a show on CNN or CBS or, this is an educational program. It's an educational program is what this is. And as far as I'm concerned, you know what, if you're not at that point where you're cussing right now, then you need to wake your ass up. Because you
exactly.
Well, guys, right. I appreciate you, brother, and I'll see you next week, hopefully.
Absolutely. I insist. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much. There he goes, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, now let me bring in our dearly beloved. I was so sad we didn't see the cat walk by. That was hilarious.
There's another one. She might walk through.
I think she might. Hold on.
She's right behind me right now.
I know. Hold on. Let me. Nope. She's going around.
Duke might come back though. He's still on the desk, so he might come back.
Let's see. Dunk. There we go. And 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, Tara Dublin, who does indeed rock. Hi.
I try.
I just scratched myself. That's fun.
I'm sorry. What'd you do?
I don't know. There was something.
Are you actively bleeding?
No, there was something on my desk and it got me. I'm all right.
Go take it. All right,
I'm
the
done.
Jewish mother insisted that you put put an antibiotic cream on that and wrap it
I'm
tightly,
fine.
and then go
It's
see
already,
a
it's
specialist.
good. I've I'll take it. I'm taken care of. I'm good. I've had way worse.
You're a
Phil,
you're a self-healing organism. You're like Superman. You can just
that's
heal
right.
bullshit.
That's right. And also,
I
yes,
love that.
Phil is not here today. He will be there. He'll be back with us on Saturday. He's been doing a bunch of stuff for his show. He is fine. I want everybody to know he just needs some rest. And so Tara, lovingly, agreed to fill in. No pun intended.
Well, you bumped me Monday, so
Yeah.
shit
Well,
happens.
there's
It's
a lot
fine.
going on.
We're all family here. It's fine. I'm happy to
It-
show up whenever I'm called. I'm right
It's
here.
true.
Put
So
the bat signal in the sky.
What's
up?
So everything. He fucking sold her. He stole her.
He
He stole her.
He stole her. He stole her. She was my
He's-
property, for I did not see her as a human being. I saw her as chattel property that I own, not a human. Not a human.
Stole her.
Stole her.
Like
Do you know
the
what
word
that actually means? Do you know what that
Jesus
means?
Christ. It means
It means Epstein raped her first before Donald Trump could do it first. It means Epstein broke her in before Trump could. It's disgusting. It's predatory, dehumanizing language. He saw her as property, as something to win, a pawn in a game between him and Epstein. They probably had a contest going. How many can you get? How many can you break in? I have no idea. There's no bottom that these people can dig down to when you're told by victims that Ghislaine Maxwell is worse than Trump and Epstein, because that's what we're hearing. When we're there's all of these questions like, why was a teenager working at the spa at Mar-a-Lago in the first place?
What the shit?
There's that. There's
they're
that.
Not even,
why
would
would
you notice they're not even saying in the women's area. She was an attendant in the women's area. Now, never mind the fact that, by the way, Ghislaine Maxwell sexually assaulted Virginia Giuffre before Epstein did. She molested her first. She was also a pedophile. She is also a pedophile.
Yes.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Did everything they
did. Right. And she was the entry point for him as well. It's like she would lower their guard, make them feel safe, all this kind of stuff. She removed Virginia Giuffre's underwear before she went into the room. She had her stripped down to her underwear. And then when she was alone in the room with Ghislaine Maxwell, and then right as she was about to go in there, she took her underwear off. Like, just
so vile.
What the
details are so vile, and yet the entire GOP is protecting this from coming out, and it's out there, and everybody knows it, and he can't stop. I made up a word, lie-fession, because he can't stop confessing while he's also still lying.
Right.
And he has lied so many times around just this specific story in just the last 3 weeks alone, because we were not talking about this on July 1st.
Nope.
It's crazy. This has been the longest July in recorded history as far as I'm concerned. It may be 31 days long, but it's not over yet, and it won't end. And it's crazy. Every single day he makes it worse for himself with the Streisand effect and these stories that he just keeps digging deeper and deeper. And why don't they should shut him up, but then also every time he talks he hangs himself with more of his long tie. You and I have talked about this extensively. They never had a falling out. They manufactured a falling out so that they could keep raping these little girls on the DL because too many people were paying attention all of a sudden.
Right. Yeah, he went basically after his arrest, he was like, we got to cool it. Essentially. Now, let me see if I can.
The investigation started in the mid-2000s. They started investigating him around 2006, I think, and that's when they were like, "Oh, we're not friends anymore." That's when the manufactured falling out happened. In 2007, was like, "Oh, Epstein hit on a daughter of a member." Bullshit.
It was a lie. All right. Okay, so here's the thing on the gaggle. Button up on Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, I don't want to say 2, or I don't want to say any number. You're talking about many years ago. But, yeah, he took people, and because he took people, I say, don't do it anymore. You know, they work for me. And he took, beyond that, he took some others. And once he did that, that was the end of him.
Again, once he did that several fucking times, like,
That
also,
you already know about. Confess
Right.
more, bitch.
Like when they steal people, I don't like it.
when they steal people, I don't like it. The motherfucker sounds like a slave owner.
Because he was.
Holy shit.
This is sex slavery. Sex
Yes.
trafficking is sex
Right.
slavery. It's the
Right.
same word. Use the words. He is a convicted felon, adjudicated rapist, pedophile, sex
God
trafficker
damn.
who was funded by Russian banks. And my Senator Ron Wyden is investigating those wire transfers because that's the other part of this. It's not just the sex criming, it's also the fact that it was funded by the Russians. And that's another huge part of it.
Oh, yes.
But look at him. Look at him and how much he has aged in just the last
Yes.
3 weeks.
Oh,
This
yes.
is killing him.
Oh, it's
softly.
good.
I love it.
Right.
It hurts him. He's
Also,
not sleeping, and his veins are going.
the next
and
time,
he's
by the
gonna
way,
explode.
I feel like this is, you always look for an opening. I feel like there's a great opening. You guys in the news that watch my show, I'm talking to you. When he tries to deflect with Russia, Russiagate, Russia, your response is only this. Speaking of Russia, in the last week of his life, Jeffrey Epstein funneled about $1.1 billion or more through Russian banks. Ron Wyden has introduced, legislation, and has asked for access to those files. Are you comfortable with Pam Bondi, looking into that? And then
that's a nasty question.
Shut
That's
the
a
fuck
nasty
up.
question. You're
Yeah.
a terrible person. That's what he
Right.
would respond with. Are you still talking about Epstein?
No, I'm talking about
it's
the Russians
hilarious.
now.
Yeah,
I'm talking about
exactly.
I'm talking about Vladimir Putin working with Jeffrey Epstein. That's what I'm talking about, because Vladimir
They
Putin
got
runs the
something-
fucking banks in that country.
They got something worse than a P tape.
Yeah.
That's the next. I mean, what could be worse than a
Yeah.
P tape is probably a dead hooker or a dead child
Well,
on
it used
video,
to be
which is something
right.
that
It used to be live boy or dead girl. Right. That was the phrase. Right. Now it's first of all, live or dead child is just an order of magnitude worse. Jesus Christ. But like
Right.
a guy or a girl or whatever, you'd have to, with Trump and them, it'd have to be dead, and they'd have to photograph him on top of him, and they'd still go, it's AI, even if he's like, this
my
is not
God.
AI, I promise. Like they're
Oh
going
my
to try and
God.
cover all this.
Yeah, of course.
It's fucking
frustrating.
pathetic.
On every single one of my social media accounts and on my Substack, on pinned is the recording that I made last July, a year ago, of the excerpt of Katie Johnson's testimony.
Yeah.
It is abhorrent, and apparently screenshots weren't doing it, which is why I recorded it. And it was
Right.
not an easy record either. It took me a long time to record it because it's incredibly upsetting, and my voice would break and I would get upset.
Yeah.
And I wanted to record it straightforward voiceover, like I was narrating a nature documentary, because as much as like you could imbue your own emotion in it when you hear that Donald Trump slapped the two of them in the face because they gave him a bad blowjob, it's better that you hear it in a straightforward, like you get to decide how disgusted you are by this. And
Right.
everyone who has listened to it, like I couldn't get past the first 30 seconds. I couldn't get past the first 15 seconds.
Yeah. It's hideous.
1 minute and
can I?
it's just under 2 minutes. It's pinned on every single one of my social media profiles. I do not know how many times I've shared it, and people say, no, that's AI. And I don't know if that's a compliment or not, because I sound so straightforward and whatever, but it's not AI. It's real. It's abhorrent. The real case file number is stamped on it. You can look it up. You can read it. Katie Johnson's testimony has been available on the internet forever. And it includes testimony about Maria Doe, who is Maria Farmer, who was just on with Jen Psaki talking about how Ghislaine Maxwell is a bigger monster than Epstein and Trump. So that's more legitimacy. And
Right.
yet they're like, that's fake. That's from the Jerry Springer show. I'm like, what are you talking about? I did that. I spent an hour of my life making that. And then I have been spending so much time since then tagging members of Congress, tagging everybody from MSNBC who follow me back, and crickets. And only now is it starting to get some leverage,
Sure.
thanks to Substack. and a little bit on Blue Sky, where the smart kids go.
Mm-hmm.
It's every American should be forced to listen to it, but particularly every Republican should be forced to listen to it the next time that a vote is brought to the floor about it, because then it would be streamed on C-SPAN, and then
Right.
everybody
For the
would
massacre.
hear the details.
Yeah.
So
I want to, there's a, let's see if I can show this without getting, because I watched something the other day that I found really upsetting and disturbing, and it kind of ties into this. So, I don't know if you recall, there's the big San Diego McDonald's massacre that happened, where a guy went into a McDonald's and killed a bunch of people. It was one of the first mass shootings. And then there was this one at Luby's in Texas, and this like Kidder, Texas or something like that, with like this little town or whatever. And this dude drove his truck into a window, got out and started shooting people. And he walked around in this like old like World War II vet, in the pejorative of our times, and an old straight white man tried to charge him and was shot in the chest protecting his wife and his daughters. Right. That guy. And this 35-year-old dude walked around snuffing women effectively and killing men as well. And this kind of stuff, like, it was horrifying. And I got to tell, like, I was watching this, and normally, you know, I watch a decent amount of true crime, but I got to say, I started like tearing up, and I'm very sensitive in the last week about a lot of this stuff anyways, but like, I started tearing up at them at this. Let me show you this image real quick. Okay. This is an image that they put up. Like, they show him walking around who he's shooting. The red dots are people that he kills. The orange ones are wounded people. The green, he's walking around. He walks over to here. They show who was there, and then he shoots them. These two crawled in and hid in the bathroom, and they move them around like. And you're looking at these little like coins, and I'm. Like, but you can still feel the humanity of this situation, right?
Of course.
Like it's like even with the graphics being with it, this one woman covered her hair with a plastic bag because she had long hair, and he was afraid because she was a woman, he was killing women, he would see her head, and so she tried to save her, and then her husband laid over top of her, and he killed them both. And it just this is the old dude who charged him and tried to stop him, threw a chair at him and ran him, took a bullet in the chest. This is his daughter. Like, he walks in and he just shoots a bunch of people. And this part of it, okay, mass shooting, terrible. Okay, the whole thing, he killed, like, it was the biggest mass shooting of up to that point, 1991. The whole thing took 12 minutes. 12 minutes. Smash, rolls in, and it felt like, when they're describing it, it felt like fucking forever. 12 minutes, right? 12 minutes. That brings me to this. Whoops, sorry, wrong screen. This. So I have to, I hate admitting when I'm wrong, but I will do it every single time. I had originally said, yes, that the view from the camera that they were showing showed the stairs going up to Epstein's floor.
Right.
It does not. It doesn't. The stairs that it shows are the ones next to it, and you can see the banister if somebody leans out. But this, I had been under the impression that it showed like the edge of the stairs and they kind of curved around this way. They don't at all. And if you walk around below this area here or over here, you're effectively invisible to this camera because it can't see these stairs at all, right? Doesn't see any of this shit. None of that. Doesn't see this coming out of here. You could walk out of here, go down here, around here, down here, up the stairs, go kill him, go back to your cell, and nobody would fucking see you. Period. End of story. So even the green in this tells you something. And after a minute was lost, they're like, there's a minute missing. And then it turns out, actually, there's 3 minutes missing. Right. Watching that Luby's massacre and knowing how many people that dude was able to kill. I mean, granted, he had a gun. He wasn't strangling people.
Right. Right.
But, and again, that's 3 minutes you don't see. So all you need is 3 minutes where they might have had to cross through here. You had a whole 3 minutes if you had to get through the green area. You got plenty of fucking time if you're walking in the dead zones, right?
Yeah, it's not a coincidence they gave him that particular cell. They know,
and the only camera recording was over here. Holy shit.
And now there's a claim that it's actually two different videos that have been spliced together.
Oh, it's worse than that. Here, hold on. I saw that briefly right before I came on with you, and I was like, wait, what? Like, come on. Can we just get a real fucking answer about this already? Yeah, so they said they released the full raw video. Okay, first of all, this is one thing I also didn't know. That at some point during the thing, this pointer shows up on the video.
Which means somebody was manipulating it.
It loops for a bit, and then this fucking mouse rolls across the screen at 11:21 p.m., close to the time when he would have fucking died. After the time they did their last pass-through. Holy shit. Like, and
So
this
somebody
is
sitting somewhere with their hand on the mouse, clicking and clicking.
Yes.
And
so this is the metadata that shows the file path of where it went. And then this is the ingredients. So there's 2 files in there. Now, everybody said that these are 2 files from that day, that these MP4s or whatever. I would like to say for the record that just because they're named that does not mean they are that. You can name any video 2025 05 22 21-12-48.
Sure.
That right? That's all you have to.
Yeah.
And they even go the ingredients in the file path. There are actually 3 of them here. It just doubles up because they apparently take a chunk of the other one, so they don't highlight this one. So the loop may have come that they're talking about from this middle file. That's why 3 minutes are missing, because one's longer than the other, and it's missing. And there's a loop covering the 2 fucking minutes and whatever. Holy shit! And then they go.
How much longer does this have to go on? It's just so fucked and so obvious. Like I'm very exhausted from living in this timeline where no one's listening to the truthful stuff. Yeah. Saved, created is a big word there.
Yeah.
Created is a very big word and carries a lot of, that is a word that's carrying a lot of weight there. What does that mean? What did they create?
Damn.
What did you create? And then save. What did you create?
I'll tell you what they created. A loop from one of the other videos, and then they attached it. That's why there's actually 3 video files. 2 of them are named the same, but one of them is the shorter looped version that covers this thing with the fucking mouse in it, right? That happens. And also, how long do we know the fucking loop is? The loop could be any time there's no movement throughout the whole goddamn thing.
Right.
It's just,
and then I know.
He stole her. He stole her.
He stole her. But wait, there's also that one detail that Epstein had nothing in his cell that he could have hung himself from, and yet they found him hanging.
Oh.
Is also.
Oh wait. That gets even worse. So one of the ways that
we'll get back to her, but I want to that's I think also an important detail. What did they do? Bring in one of those things, a hook that you hang a plant from, and just stuck it in there to hang him from conveniently, because otherwise. Allegedly, there was nothing else in there that he could have done that.
Well,
what's he hanging from?
Right. So, allegedly, look how many sheets this motherfucker had.
That's too many sheets for one person.
At one point, fucking hell. At one point,
I know.
they say one of the guards allegedly brought up more sheets and clothes. I mean, what was he, fucking Miggs from... Silence of the Lambs, jacking off so much that they had to give him fresh sheets like a fucking 15-year-old boy. For real.
I'm thinking not.
What the shit? Okay, the other thing, and there are things, CBS did this full report on it. I'm going to cover the whole thing this afternoon because we've got to go through it beat by beat on the afternoon show. But they go through every part of it because there was a new report that came out that kind of went through all these things, and they were like, hey, wait a second, everywhere during it. But look at all this shit. Okay. So I didn't know this until I watched this, that the only people that saw him hanging were the first 2 guards that went in there. Mm-hmm. No one else saw him hanging. Because they were undoing him, they called for help in theory. But after that point, they were also trying to resuscitate him. And when they took him out, he was quickly swept up and taken away. He was still on a bag. They were breathing him with a bag. You don't breathe somebody with a bag if they're dead. You don't bother, right?
So he was still alive.
He was still alive when he left the fucking jail, right? They were bagging him. Again, even in that situation, it's so fucking odd. But look at all that
about
shit.
This is
he's not supposed to have enough to hang himself, and yet look at all that shit. Yeah.
You gave it to him.
What they say is, and this was the like super fucking hinky part, was that you allegedly see, one of the guards walk up with bring in all those orange clothes, basically, but all those orange blankets and sheets and shit. And that is the orange that you're seeing that goes along right here. In one of the videos, you can see like this thing, and it's just so many, like you just see orange going by this way, right? Okay. What they have been saying is that's her bringing up this fabric. No one corroborates this, even her. She doesn't remember doing it. I think I did it around then, but whatever. It could have just been the sleeve of another inmate, namely the fucking former inmate that he had that was allegedly a serial killer who was fucking one of the people who could have killed him, who may have choked him.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Like, it could have been just the side but they're like, I'm pretty sure that's when I carried that shit, up the steps. But all you see is like an orange dot right here. That's the image.
Yeah.
Like please God, if there's and can I say for the record, watching everybody flail and try not to cover it. You know what Glenn Beck covered this morning? He read a fucking blog post from The Blaze about how young men are being disenfranchised, and we've got to make sure they vote next time. Like anything not to talk about this. This motherfucker.
Yeah, for sure. Of course. I mean, what's interesting is like you're okay with child rape is what you're saying by A, not talking about it, and B, covering it up. So like if you are a Republican and you're not speaking out against this, then you're clearly for it. And how many child porn addicts did the GOP have to see arrested?
Right.
Because there was that guy in Wisconsin. Yesterday, did you see that guy in Wisconsin? Like a state GOP from Wisconsin was arrested. He had like 600 images of child porn on his
he was
computer.
grooming girls on Instagram, I think it was.
Yeah, and what's interesting, like his wife was like really active on Twitter, and she's very Trumpy, and she was like, President Trump protects children. And now they've both scrubbed all of their social media accounts because yet another MAGA guy is trying to diddle kids. What the fuck is wrong with your entire party? Here's where Pizzagate came from. It comes from Epstein's sex trafficking. It comes from Trump. They created the Pizzagate thing because every accusation is a confession from this disgusting party of groomers. Nothing they have ever said about Hillary Clinton is true. Nothing they've ever said about Joe Biden is true. Nothing they say about Obama is true. It is all them. What is in Mike Johnson's prayer closet full of porn? What's on his app that holds him accountable? Why are all of these people protecting Trump? Why is Mark Wayne Mullen standing on the Senate floor going, well, we're just trying to give Trump coverage? Why? Why would you cover up for child rape? Why?
Yeah. Well, if you all believe in these policies, why do you even fucking need him? Right? Why can't JD Vance just carry out MAGA? If you're all MAGA and you all believe in this, you're all on the same fucking team, then if everybody is on the team, then almost the leader doesn't matter if you all believe in the same policies, right? So why the fuck why would you cover for a pedophile other than the fact that you are one yourself? Also, can I point out somebody brought up this as a joke in the chat, but it does strike me. So the video that we're looking at now of Epstein's, his jail cell where we just see the little bit of orange and then the orange jumpsuits and all that kind of stuff. Could that possibly explain this brain fart?
And I hope that this investigation now, which is finished, it's totally finished. No collusion, no obstruction. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation, the beginnings of that investigation. You look at the
origins
of the investigation.
He says oranges multiple times, and then he says
where it started, how it started, who started it, whether it's McCabe or Comey or a lot of them. Where does it go? How high up in the White House did it go?
To you.
You will all get Pulitzer Prizes, okay? You're going to all get Pulitzer Prizes. You should have looked at it a long time ago. And that's the only thing that's disappointing to me about the Mueller report. The Mueller report, I wish, covered the oranges, how
The oranges.
It did cover the oranges because it covered you, Orange Menace. But fucking Mueller report, really?
I gotta say though, when we're talking about like the there it is.
Oranges.
That's the orange
Look at the
dot going up
oranges.
the steps. That's the part. Hold on.
Spoke with were skeptical about the report's conclusion and thought that the video could be showing an inmate walking up the stairs.
I'm down with that. Look at the oranges.
Yeah,
the guys in the oranges.
We need to. I agree with Trump. It's a miracle. We need to look at the oranges of the investigation. I swear to God, like his asylum flip flop and all that shit. Like this very well, as stupid as it sounds, this might be true. This motherfucker can't not like. Oh my God, they're gonna see the guy with the orange jumpsuit going up the steps, and they talked about like, oh fuck. Somebody helped, him escape or helped him kill himself or killed him on our behalf or whatever. And people are going to see the oranges. They're going to see the oranges of this. The orange. I wish we could look into the oranges. Stop saying orange. Don't say orange.
And he can't.
Mole, 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 mole.
He can't stop saying mole.
Yeah.
He can't stop saying Epstein now.
Right.
He's like, are you guys still talking about Epstein? Why are you talking about Epstein? I was friends
with Epstein.
Yeah. You know what I would love, and I actually asked for it on socials, but no one came through. But maybe someone in your chat room with mad editing skills can do this. I want someone to grab the from Being John Malkovich when he goes through and everybody's going Malkovich. But I wanted them to replace it with Trump going Epstein. Somebody out there, please make that AI for me. I normally think AI is the devil, and it only should be used to embarrass Donald Trump. That's what you should use it for. Use it well, but I want that. I want Epstein. Because it is all roads lead back to Epstein. Now, going back to the language he uses around this entire thing, as he continues to Streisand affect himself, I have lost count of how many loop-de-loops the repainted Lolita Express has done on these lies from just 3 weeks ago. And then if you want to talk about a timeline, we know that that Pam Bondi told him in late May, that he's in the Epstein files, right? June 5th is when Elon tweeted that Trump is in the Epstein files. June 5th. So that's just a couple of days after Trump would have been briefed. And there are people like, he wasn't briefed. He was just told. And that doesn't mean there's any wrongdoing. And I'm like, that's a MAGA semantics argument. Told and briefed are the same fucking word, you moron. But you're told so the timeline is the Epstein client list is on my desk and I'm reviewing it. Wait, there's no Epstein list. Wait, what are you talking about? Here are binders. Wait, the binders are full of blacked out things. Then there's nothing in there about Bill Clinton. And then Trump is like, someone asked him, last week, when he landed in Scotland, were you briefed about the Epstein files? And he's like, nope.
Right.
Like, you fucking were. We know you were. My name was planted. Then you're in there, but you're not planted because you're client number one. And by the way, he knew before May that he was in there, obviously.
Yeah.
But forever he has known. And then there's the whole point that I'll keep making until I'm also blue in the face, is if there's only bad stuff about Bill Clinton in there, why didn't that come out in May?
Yeah.
It's
that's where that boomerang's back on them. Right.
Right. If you wanted to hold back your part and release the bad parts version that only shows Bill Clinton, why didn't you do that? You could say, we didn't find anything about me. Oh, wait, everything about me is fake. That was another lie. Anything about a Democrat is real. We found anything about me in there was fake. So you are in there.
Yeah.
And you also ran on promising you would release it. You would release the Epstein files. Was one of your multiple campaign promises that you've broken. How many times has he lied to the base, and the base is like, he's not a pedophile. He's not a pedophile. It's the Democrats done it. It's Obama. Obama wrote the Epstein files during Pizzagate. Or whatever.
Well, that's the other thing too. This is a really simple question in deference to his audience. If they put all the stuff about him in, why wouldn't they take all the stuff about themselves out? If they had access to do that, why wouldn't they scrub shit about themselves if they were adding stuff about him? Also, Why does all the stuff about him line up with video from like network television from the time? The idea that like Bill Clinton sitting there going, hey, Bill Gates, come over here for a second. I'm going to put in a bunch of incriminating stuff about both of us so this stuff looks chillingly real. Like, what the fuck?
There's a great quote. Here's the thing. There's so many layers to this that people who exist in the 2025 world who were not around in the 90s can't understand because of the culture of the 90s. And just like the Manhattan social scene, there are people who socialized with him. He had a legitimate business as a financier where he helped people make a lot of money. That was his surface so that he could be a sex trafficker on the DL. I would posit that while plenty of people suspected there was hinky stuff, they didn't know for a fact. They heard gossip but didn't know it was true. There were others who definitely knew it was true. We don't know who they are, but one of the best quotes that I saw about Bill Clinton that doesn't exactly fully exonerate him, but does help a little bit, is that if he flew on the Epstein plane, it was domestically. He never was on the island. And also Bill Clinton liked women, not girls.
Well, that's arguably how Trump got away with it for a long time, was because he's obviously a mama's boy and likes big tits, and that's where the Stormy Daniels thing comes in, and that's what he hides behind. With it, that's why the drawing he made is completely believable, right? Is because that's what
titties.
Right. That's exactly it, and that's why that's part of the cover. But the problem they have is, and I think the biggest piece of news out of this week is the fact that his story about they poached workers and that's why it kicked him out. It totally brings the lie to all the people who have had as their singular defense against him, he kicked him out because he was a creep. That was enough. That one line that they have all sold was enough to get their head just barely above water. They were there. It's the Titanic. They had their arms up on the door. They're in freezing water. Right. Trump is on the fucking door, floating there, and
he's
like,
Kate Winslet.
I love
no
you.
Room. There's no room for you.
Sorry, fucker. Right. And you're like,
I'll never let go. Immediately, let's go.
The piece of driftwood that was keeping them afloat was he kicked them out for being a creep. And now we know that's not the case at all. No, and how do we know that? Because Trump fucking said so like a dumbass. Oh my God.
The White House tweeted the audio. The audio. How do you think this helps? How do you think that helps? It does. Obviously doesn't unless...
How do you make that worse? How do you make that story worse? How do you go from the one piece of protection that everybody had that was protecting you to I kicked him out of there, to he stole her?
Notice also, he said, people are like, he says he stole my staffers, he stole my workers. No one says, you mean your undocumented gardeners or the maids or the restaurants?
And your underage girls working in your fucking spa?
They do not ask about dishwashers or hospitality staff or caddies. They specifically go, you mean like girls who worked at the spa? You mean like a teenage girl? And he's like, yeah, he stole her. So the press already knows. And they're leading him to confess on camera. And now he's stuck scrambling. I don't know what they're saying today about it, but he admitted that they were fighting over a teenager. He stole a teenager. He didn't steal an adult undocumented gardener to go work on his property. He stole a teenage girl who was working in the spa, where men needed towels and special attention.
And the only person we know of that actually was allegedly poached, from Mar-a-Lago by Jeffrey Epstein was an underage girl. Like it wasn't like, he just it was like a cattle call. He was just rounding the fuck people up. And so when you bring it up, like he poached workers, which is just fucking weird anyways. Like it's hard to Jesus. But
like
on
he
top of that,
walked in there and cleared out the kitchen. Like, hey guys, I'll pay you $1 more an hour. Let's go. That's not what happened.
So fucking dumb. And in it, by saying that, all he does is go, who else worked with you and Epstein? Who else worked at Mar-a-Lago that also worked for? Like, that's easy to look up, isn't it? I mean, wouldn't that be in the Epstein files? That would be in the Epstein files. Everybody who he employed we should know who else he poached from fucking Mar-a-Lago. Also, did he only poach him from Mar-a-Lago, or was he borrowing staff in New York from fucking Bedminster and other places, right?
Oh yeah. Oh well, and in New York there are way more 12 and 13-year-old girls going on modeling casting calls and trying to break into show business. And there's on Netflix, there are two different documentaries called Filthy Rich. One is about Epstein and one is about Maxwell. And the one on my podcast partner on the Tara Show, Tara Devlin, and I talked about this yesterday, in that there's a moment in the documentary where they interview a friend of Ghislaine Maxwell's that they knew each other socially in London, like another socialite on the scene. They run into each other in Manhattan and they sit down and have a drink. And she says, well, darling, what are you up to? And Ghislaine Maxwell says, well, I'm procuring girls for Jeffrey Epstein. That's a direct quote. I'm procuring girls for Jeffrey Epstein. And her friend is, to her credit, disgusted and absolutely just taken aback. And she's like, well, why would you do such a horrible thing to these girls? And Maxwell said, well, they're trash. She doesn't see them as people. She saw them as trash. That's part of the dehumanizing language
Epstein said
sexual predators use. Trash. They are trash. They are property. They are chattel. They are garbage. They're slaves. They are not human. They are bodies. They are vessels for men to masturbate into and upon and just violate in their own way without any sense of decency, and then throw them away. And it happened to hundreds of girls whose names we'll never know.
Mary in our chat brings up Virginia Giuffre's W-2 is evidence in the Maxwell trial because she worked at Mar-a-Lago, and that's where she was found. Absolutely.
There you go.
Yes, I have seen that as well. My question is who else? Because I got to say, if it's nobody else,
forward.
If it's nobody else, like he didn't, or like, okay, you can take the 17-year-old working in my fucking spa, but don't touch the gardening staff, right? Like that was the last straw. Like you could take the young underage, like high school girls from the neighborhood, but don't touch my fucking IT guys, right?
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Don't take my kitchen staff because I need my burnt steaks burnt just the way they know I like it. But you can have this girl. But there's always another girl.
That's what I mean. It's going to be even. It's going to be even worse if there's anybody else. It's going to be like, wait a minute, how many girls then did he poach before you were like, oh, the feds are onto this fucker because I called them because of the phrase we learned last week, dry snitching, that Trump dry snitches on people. He snitches and then he calls them and says, hey, buddy, they're going to raid your property next week because of you, you fucking asshole. I see that.
Man's loyalty that never shows it. It's just all of it. Every single part of this, and it gets worse by the hour.
And why? Why does it get worse? Because he makes it worse. That's the amazing part. This is not. That's right. I gotta say, primarily the most stunning part of this is that he always manages to fuck it up worse. Like, that's just mind-blowing. Like, everybody else, like, you can get it if, like, he's like whistleblowers and leakers are sneaking stuff out. And again, you can't leak a lie, so anything they call a leak, remember that is true.
Is fact.
You can't leak a lie. Hashtag Hal Sparks said it first. You can't leak a lie. And so they can find a way to, like, blame leakers for, like, selectively choosing what to put out to make me look bad and all that kind of shit. But
he doesn't need any help with that.
None of this is that. None of it. It's not fucking like because Bongholio can't keep his fucking mouth shut.
Oh,
it's not,
my God.
Right? It's because
he's back out there tweeting though. He's back out there tweeting. Bongo Bingo Bongo got back on he got back on the Twitter machine because somebody was like, you need to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna get, or you'll have to watch out for the oranges. Like, I want to know. I'm sure that there have been multiple threats against Bondi, Bongino, and Patel because they're still hanging in there protecting him when the evidence is so glaringly obvious how fucking guilty he is.
Right.
It's excruciating. It's excruciating. And for me personally, going back to the video that I recorded of Katie Johnson's testimony, which is so vile when you hear it, and it doesn't matter how many times I that's what needs to be out there because people, I think, are becoming even So first of all, this is sticking to him like nothing else ever has in his life. That's another part of this. Like
Yes.
he can't make this go away. Nobody can make this go away. And that's something that I've been talking about a lot because so many people, I mean, we've been living with this blight upon us for 10 years and we've watched him get away with everything until now. This is not going away. And the evidence to that is we're still talking about it after
so are they
several weeks.
So yeah, it's not,
and so are they.
Yes.
And he's losing every day. He loses a little bit more support from the right. Every single day someone goes, oh, wait a minute. The QAnon shaman has turned his back.
Yep.
He's done. He's done. Nick Fuentes is done. Joe Rogan is there. Joe Rogan is talking about how about conspiracy theories and what's out in the world and what's really in the Epstein files. So those influencers are going to slowly have more influence. And ultimately, I want to know what the end game here is because Republicans are going to be called on the literal carpet by Democrats because Congress will come back to session. You can't keep them recessed forever, Speaker Jesus Freak. They're going to come back.
All this is going to do is keep a wind up. This is going to keep the wind up going.
Right.
That's what this, it is just going to escalate
wait for
this.
The pitch, dude.
Oh my God. The week before they come back is just going to be fucking glorious. Like Epstein, Epstein,
God damn it. We're gonna be fucking
like it's just going to be like blum, 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 blum.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. Well, there is another 50501 march this Saturday. We are back in the streets this Saturday. It's Rage Against the Regime. And so it's release the Epstein files. It's abolish ICE. It's impeach Trump. Those are the messages that we are putting out when we are in the streets again this Saturday. Peaceful protests in all 50 states. We have to get 3.5% of the population out there to start turning the tide. And we did that last month on No Kings. So we can do it again. That's all part of it. And what we have to keep doing is newsjacking. When we see any posts on any social and it's not about Epstein, you make it about Epstein.
Yep.
If any member of Congress who's not tweeting about Epstein, you reply with Epstein. It is Epstein, Epstein, Malkovich, Malkovich. Nothing but. I don't want to hear about it because anything that they're talking about that's not Epstein is a distraction from Epstein. The only other thing that I will let people be talking about right now because it's unconscionable not to is what's happening in Gaza. And Republicans saying that Gazans aren't starving. Fuck you. You're starving them. Donald Trump is a war criminal working with fellow war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu to flatten Gaza and turn it into the Atlantic City of the Middle East. And
he said it again.
Genocide,
he said it again in the same fucking, he said it in the same
I don't
gaggle.
care, he said.
No, I know. But like he's like, you could turn it into something really spectacular. Like, fuck you. Like this whole Trump Plaza Gaza business that he was talking about. And again, hashtag uncommitted. All the crowds that stood down and said, I don't know, Genocide Joe, blah, blah, blah. Welcome to the reality you helped make happen. And again, I will take this shit all the way back to Bush v. Gore. If you think Al Gore, President Al Gore, would have taken us into Iraq, you're out of your fucking mind. Even, I would argue, if you think 9/11 would have happened because he would have read his presidential daily fucking brief. So, like, again, this idea that, like, I don't know, fuck you. Like, and again,
fuck you, right?
I said this earlier when the major was on, but I think I hope it deserves reiterating that I feel like I have a solution for the Gaza food aid situation, which is overdo it by a factor of 4. No, the Chinese drop was a pittance as well, and largely, like for show. But I don't care as long as food's getting in. Who cares? What I'm saying is
that's the point.
If 3,000 calories a day are necessary, then drop 12,000 calories a day worth of food all the time, and Hamas won't be able to leverage food if there's not a shortage of it. If there's so much fucking food, if there's more food than anybody could even keep, and some of it's even fucking spoiling, until they start yelling, drop refrigerators, you haven't dropped enough food. Keep doing it. Just like the peanut butter paste for kids, the fucking rice, ramen, fucking candy, whatever, any non-perishables, crates full of canned food, all that stuff. Just overdo it, like to the point where there is no bum rush for it. Everybody's got a full belly, and they're like, where are we gonna until they're building small houses out of the canned goods we're dropping, we haven't dropped enough. And that, I'm telling you, would solve it in two ways. One, the immense amount of goodwill that would come from it, and a recognition that you deal with something so horrifying by compensating. If people can die, you overcompensate with food in that situation. You don't keep them right on the bridge of starvation so they fucking need you or some bullshit. You overdo it. Like, forget about it. It's the same thing like if you ever loan a friend rent money, never ask for it back. When they are standing on their feet, then they can give it back to you. But if you're going to do it, if you ask for it back, it's like you never lent it in the first place. You're just another worry for them. That's been my feeling about it. It's probably why I have a couple of friends who owe me like 10 grand a piece over the years, but it's okay because they're fine. They're alive and they're sheltered. So who gives a shit, right? But the point I'm trying to make is that if you overdo it with this food, Hamas won't be able to leverage it against anybody. People won't be lining up where they can get shot. People won't be, fighting with each other. Overdo it. The U.S., the United Nations, the Israelis, any Arab country that wants to help, like, hey, here's what's going to happen. We're going to love bomb these people with too much food. And this way, you don't have to send any trucks in. We're going to airdrop it so that no weapons can get in. So you don't have to worry about trucks having weapons magnetized at the bottom part of it, and you have to slow the whole fucking thing down and scan that shit. Nope. It's all coming. UN planes, we're scanning everything. You could sign off on every flight, and we're gonna parachute this shit in over and over and over again. They can make tents out of the tarps from the fucking parachutes when we're done. We don't care. And if you overdo it...
How can we make this happen? How do we implement this? Who's dropping the food? Who's clearing the airspace? Let's make, like...
Well, you don't have to clear the airspace. There's no anti-aircraft at all. Yeah.
Great. Then
there's no reason why it can't be done right now. As a matter of fact, you know how we get this done? Send me to the UN to talk. I don't know, the first thing I know people have done it. I know people, have made speeches to the UN. I'll do it. I'll set out the whole goddamn plane. And people are like, it's a blockade. I agree. It's a land blockade and a water blockade. But they control the airspace.
But not an air blockade.
There's no air blockade. If it's their planes, they can drop them. And if it's the United States and our allied countries and we're dropping I honestly believe this is something you could sell to everybody, which is, again, if you need $40 million worth of food to $120 million worth of food, because this will end this faster if Hamas can't leverage this against their own people and create gangs stealing the food. You can't steal something that there's too much of.
Right.
That's how you do it.
Put it. Correct. I like this idea. What's amazing is that we out here in the independent media come up with really great ideas and great solutions. And it's the implementation that is difficult because we can't get it to the people who could actually implement it. And, like my idea for a Democratic press secretary, which I still think is one of the greatest ideas I've ever come up with. And I understand money from the DNC would have to pay that person. And someone like a Jessica Tarlov isn't going to step down from Fox News because she's getting that sweet Fox News money. And that might be, a pay cut for her. I actually tweeted about it and she responded, Jesse would miss me too much because she's on the funny. 5 with Jesse Walters and stuff. But Jesse Waters. But we need a Democratic press secretary. We need someone who's out there every single day saying the stuff that you're saying the stuff that I'm saying. I would posit that if we had a Democratic press secretary in place back in February, this Epstein story could have been bigger already because it would have been here's something truthful, here's something truthful. And
I agree, but I also think they would have blamed the Democrats for it coming out. I think in this particular case, one of the things that they hold back on, and I think it's valuable that Democrats hold back on some of the Epstein stuff and don't, because right now, Schumer and a bunch of them, the Gang of Five in the Homeland Security thing, have demanded the Epstein files using the Gang of Five rule inside the Homeland Security Committee because they can do that because he supposedly belonged to intelligence. That story. So if that's... They have the right to know if that was the case because they're on the Homeland Security panel. And because of 9/11 and other shit, only 5 of them have to do it because they can't institute subpoenas. So they took advantage of that rule. Brilliant. It's one of the reasons why Schumer's been quiet for a week and a half because they've been working out how to do it. And they whipped it together and they brought the vote to the floor and they did to the committee and all that kind of shit, all the stuff you have to do. And they did it in the same way that in the House, they forced Comer to subpoena Ghislaine Maxwell, right? Democrats did that. Some Republicans crossed over, but it took time to do it. You got to marshal it together. You say, okay, we all in on this. Is this how we're going to do it? You got to whip the votes that are there, all that stuff. Okay. On top of that, in the case of like each of these stories, if Democrats had hammered this from the beginning and had been the primary actor on it, it would have less weight. But it really, and we've seen this, is that because this is a moment where gravity, where the Trump administration is confronting gravity for the first time. Because it's not us pulling them down to earth. It's their own people. It's reality. It's the details that he was in those fucking files, that it's pictures and images, it's videos, it's actual physical, it's physical Polaroids and digital images, it's video,
Correct.
it's
victim testimony,
flight logs, notes, calendar meetings, all that shit. And it's
The
multiple
birthday
copies
book.
of it. Right. It's multiple copies of this shit. And so we're not putting that out there. That's just true. It just exists. And he can't escape that part of it. And MAGA is losing their shit. And every time, fucking annoyed. I got to tell you, I don't know why these assholes try this. Washington Post, I don't know what the fuck. Today puts out an article. Look at the title of this fucking thing. As MAGA storm over Epstein calms White House plans next steps. Now, okay, eat shit. Watch, but then, you know how I always talk about the yeah but. I always talk about the yeah but. Every article has a yeah but. The third paragraph is usually the yeah but if it's text dense like this. If it's USA Today and it's got a lot of pictures and it's in color, it'll be the 5th or the 7th because they'll be shorter. There'll be little pieces.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Bury that lead all the way down.
Here's the yeah but.
I wouldn't say it's
blown over, said a senior White House official speaking on the condition of anonymity to discuss internal strategy. It's one of those things where with a certain segment of the base, it's a very small segment of the base, it's never going to die down no matter what. And the idea that it's a very
exploit the shit out of that.
Yeah, this very small segment of the base, like what is it? Every maggot media person online, from fucking all the people who are on Tenet to everybody basically, but Glenn Beck and Dim Pool right now are freaking, are still like, what the fuck? And then all the people that were, I think he took for granted, he certainly does. I mean, he takes everybody for granted, but he took for granted Rogan and Sullivan, the guy on that Ragamuffin podcast, where the fuck those guys sitting around, that he went on there and they were like, right before the election, they're like, he was down 3 points and we got him up 4 points after our podcast. They were bragging about it around the election, like, we are why he won. And now they're like, this motherfucker is a pedophile. Like, that's like, they're not, because he had.
How did you not know that first before then, though? How did you not know the guy who went on The View and said, if she wasn't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her
and sex and making titty gestures with his newborn.
Titty gestures. Exactly. All of it is disgusting. And, we had E. Jean Carroll on the Tara Show a couple of weeks ago.
Very cool.
And if you haven't read her book, if you haven't read E. Jean Carroll's book, Not My Type, I really encourage you to do so, because there is court testimony in there that no one shared, no one knew about. It wasn't it wasn't put out by the media. No one really talked about it, but multiple women testified to a pattern of behavior that Donald Trump exhibited, and all of their stories were the same. He got me alone. He pushed me up against a wall. He did it was all the same. It is the same pattern of behavior over and over. And all of these different women come forward and testify. All of Epstein's victims who are coming forward and testifying or going on TV with Jen Psaki are all saying the same things. When the story about one person is consistent over a decade, over decades, from multiple people, who do you think is right and who do you think is covering shit up? And so he's always been, and it's so fucking frustrating for those of us who have always known what he is.
Yeah.
From the beginning. From before the Access Hollywood tape, from before he was doing that thing, imitating the disabled reporter, from before that, from the guy who was always on the gossip pages on page 6, from the guy who bankrupted casinos in Atlantic City. We knew what he was. And we are out here screaming about this, and there's a handful of right-wing influencers dominating the market and flooding it with shit, and we don't get to be louder than that. We can't get the corporate media tell the real truth. The video that I will continue to hammer, the video I recorded needs to be played for all Americans. It needs to be played on the House or Senate floor. It needs to be played before the vote. It needs to be broadcast on C-SPAN. It needs to be played on MSNBC and CNN and Fox and Newsmax. But it won't be, or it just needs to be retweeted by one of them.
Right.
Joe Rogan, I don't fucking care. Nick Fuentes, go right ahead. Do you hate Jews? We'll get back to that. Right now, we're taking down Trump because of the Epstein files. And come on. If Elon is the one who kicked this off. Now, he's problematic in a million different ways, but right now, he knows what's in there.
Yeah.
He's the one who started this late.
And I gotta say, somebody saying you can tell Rogan is conflicted and he's a brain enema. I agree. And you're absolutely right. There was a, you can see lately where he's like, that whole thing, does he think we're babies? And they're gaslighting everyone. He used the phrase gaslighting, which is a turn for him as well. Now, my favorite thing about this, though, is besides those guys flipping, is that Trump not only makes this worse every time he talks, but that Pam Bondi just blew a hole in the whole hoax idea. And let me show you something. Okay,
it's so weird that so many hoaxes only happen to him and literally no one else.
So how this is Daily Beast article. Pam, Bondi blows up Trump claim Epstein files are hoax. Okay, blah, blah, blah. And they go through this stuff and they go, attention, and this is him going, nobody cares. Remember, it's not a story. It's boring and whatever. Okay. Attention given to the Epstein and Maxwell cases.
To talk about raping children. So boring.
Has recently intensified in the wake of the July 6, 2025 memorandum announcing the conclusion of the government's review into the investigation. They wrote in the memorandum. This is her writing to the court to unseal the grand jury testimony. And her reasoning is, ever since that memo came out on January 6th, or July 6th rather, everybody's interested. Well, thank you.
Weird.
Thank you. My girl just brought me a coffee
Summer.
because apparently I don't sound loud enough and excited
enough. Hi, Summer.
Huh? Oh, thank you. Yes. She said, Tara says hi. Hello. Hi, hello. Yeah, they hear you. Okay. So the July 6th memorandum. Well, who the fuck released the July 6th memorandum? You did, you dumb motherfuckers. You
did.
Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi put that out. The reason this blew up, the reason it blew up the way it did, it could have leaked and dripped and drabbed along for a long time. But Trump said, get rid of it. Tell him it's over. Pull the band-aid. Let's get full denial. Fuck it. 100% goddamn Roy Cohn. We're going to nail this shit. Yeah. And they released that memorandum, and that's what caused it. That's what made all the MAGA influencers freak out. That's what made them all go through the roof. There is undoubtedly a clearly expressed interest from the public in Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's crimes, it adds.
They're the only ones that committed the crimes, though. Trump is fully absolved, did nothing. His name is in there because it was planted by Democrats. What
Son of a...
And here's the thing. Here is proof. You don't want to believe anything that he lied to you about anything else in the last 10 years, and you want to be that ostrich person, cult freak, go right ahead. You know he lied to you about this. Not only he didn't lie to you about it just one time. He has lied to you about this about 400 million times in the last 3 weeks. There is a list, there isn't a list. I was never there, I was there. We didn't know each other, we stopped talking to each other. This happened this year and he stole her from me. That is the most damning thing that he said. Of all of the damning things that he said, is he stole her from me. He is a petty little bitch. He stole her from me is why friends don't hang out with each other. Like in high school, he stole my girl. That's petty. And they also, you'll remember, there was a time where they shared a girlfriend who was, I guess, above the age of consent. And Trump and Epstein were always rivals in that way, comparing performances, which is so disgusting. Also, he's so worried about his performance, his sexual performance. That time he had the headline planted that Marla Maple said he's the best sex she ever had. There is no way he is the best sex that anyone ever had.
No.
Not when you last less than a minute and you have this going on.
The best thing that ever happened is when that sex ended. Can I just say,
yes, when you walked away from me. Yeah.
to my point about this motherfucker can't stop making it worse.
I'd like to list.
So the whole point is there's no list. It's not a list. Remember that was the talking point that came out of there. Like, when I said list, I meant files. There really isn't a list, and there's no list. And all the maggots got a talking point. There's no list, basically. I mean, the idea that he kept the list is kind of ridiculous. Like, you hear that everywhere, right? That was the thing. Dave Smith and all these guys, they all got the talking point. There's no list. I mean, there's information, but there's no list, whatever. And this motherfucker, you should focus on Clinton. You should focus on the former president of Harvard, Trump said. You should focus on some of the hedge fund guys. I'll give you a list. These guys lived with Jeffrey Epstein.
What does that mean?
I sure as hell didn't.
They lived with him.
Well, Ehud Barak, I think, in theory, Ehud Barak stayed at the island and lived in his place for a while.
That's what they mean.
But not the hedge.
It's convenient that he leaves out Howard Lutnick was Epstein's neighbor in New York City for a time. Weird.
And bought the house.
So weird. All of these.
Bought the house from an unnamed, holding company that Epstein had a piece of.
Just God
Jesus
damn it. I'm
Christ.
so tired of all of this obvious fuckery around this, and I'm so done. And the issue is that the entire Republican Party is in on this cover-up. So it's not just Trump by himself. It's Trump and Vance, and Trump and Vance and Hegseth, and Trump and Vance and Hegseth and Bondi and Bongino and Patel and John Thune and Mike Johnson and all of them pedophile enablers. Nancy Mace out there very strongly today, proudly calling herself a transphobe, standing with President Trump. That is a quote from her tweet. So gross. You're gross. That's just gross and disgusting. And Nancy Mace, who claims to be a rape survivor, enabling this rapist pedophile who also, by the way, people forget about, said to Andrew and Tristan Tate, the international sex trafficking rapist pedophile brothers, come on back to the United States. You're welcome here with the rest of us rapist sex trafficking pedophiles. And Nancy Mace is like, that's fine. I love rapists. So this is what we're seeing. We have reached a point where it's okay to rape kids as long as a Democrat does it. Fine, let them do it. Republicans could never, but Democrats rape kids all the time. A Republican would never. Are you kidding me? Democrats are the ones who've been pushing for the complete Epstein files release. And we say over and over again, we don't care whose names are in it. We just want to know. We want to know. Trump, and again, we can hammer this one over and over again as well. If they ever found anything on a Democrat that was remotely close to what Trump did, it would already be out there. And it would have been out there in 2020. After Epstein died, they would have said, oh, shit, we found all of this stuff that you guys have been protecting Bill Clinton for all of this time. My name's not in here. Look, here it is. Here it is.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that. If they did that in 2020, he would have run away with the election. Because it would have looked like Democrats were protecting Clinton and his name isn't in it, but his name is in it, and we're not protecting him.
The other thing, too, is, I got to say, the other defense you heard from everywhere was, if there was stuff about Trump in there, the Democrats would have used it, to attack him. Okay, first of all, they talked about him a lot. But again, most of this stuff was in litigation. The files around Ghislaine Maxwell were sealed until January of last year. The ongoing civil cases could be affected by stuff coming out, and there was no timeline on it where the guy's running for office where you can't once you get to the year where he's running, like releasing it in that moment, just dumping it or leaking it would clearly be seen. MAGA would have just said it doesn't exist or whatever.
Forget it. It would never have worked. It would have been an intense backlash, even more on Joe Biden if he tried that, and then Kamala Harris if she tried it, probably.
Right. The other thing too is how much of it evaporated when the FBI and whoever Trump sent raided Epstein's properties while Trump was president last time, while Bill Barr was head of the DOJ, and stuff just went missing. And so finding copies of stuff or digging it up or figuring out where it went is going to be a years-long process, no question.
It went to the bathroom at Mar-a-Lago. It's in a box in Mar-a-Lago's bathroom.
It's worse than that.
Probably.
I would argue some of it got just wrapped up and dropped into the sea out of a helicopter. But there was the one story about the New York property that the FBI shows up, they cut open the door, they have a battering ram, and they have a saw that they cut through the safe. They open the safe, but their warrant does not allow them to take evidence only to photograph evidence. And he has boxes of videotapes, hard drives that have evidence tape wrapped around them from his previous arrest that he got back or that he has or whatever, or that was never looked through or that he was able to get rejected. And then there were files and pictures and all kinds of shit in there, but they couldn't take any of it. So they leave, put a little piece of tape over the door. They come back the next day with a warrant to take everything, and it's gone.
Weird. I wonder where it went. I'm sorry. Fuck all of this. Like, it's just so egregious happening right in front of us. And what we're ultimately, I know we're a little over, but ultimately what we were talking about, this entire administration needs to be removed.
Yeah.
They are all involved in this cover up. All of them need to go. I don't know. And that's a whole other discussion for another time. But they're all involved in this. So it's either they all band together to keep it quiet or they all get fucked at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be the mentality. Like, we all have to stick together or else people are going to find out all of the shit on us too. Because Trump, again, is not a take one for the team guy. So if he's going down for the Epstein thing, he's going to drag everyone down with him that he can. And that'll be an interesting thing also, because if Trump is in there, and he also, remember, the Russians hacked the RNC server when they hacked the DNC server. So along with this Epstein stuff, there's probably Russian compromise on a lot of members of the GOP that Trump knows, and he's been using that as leverage to keep them on his side with the Epstein files, because if they turn on him for good, he's got shit on them. So they're in this, and I don't care what, like, I don't know what it, again, like you said, dead boy, live girl. What you got on Marco Rubio? What you got on Lindsey Graham? What you got on Mark Wayne Mullen? Let's go. Just put it all out there.
I think some of them I think some of them are biding time because they think he's going to keel over, and they've got to put together their party after the fact, and then you can clean that up afterwards because he's too old and his dick doesn't work anymore, and it's kind of like a Weinstein Cosby thing.
Explode.
Right, that they figure
we're not gonna
that
forget
ship
about
has
it.
sailed. Right, we'll bounce Matt Gaetz in the process. Right, yeah. Can I point out one other thing? And I know, like I said, we're over time, but before, let's say, the mid '90s, when obviously Trump had met Bill Clinton several times, he had met Oprah, he hung out with Robin Leach from Lifestyles of the Rich and Disgusting, and Howard Stern, and John Casablancas, David Copperfield, like at least all those people, right? Okay.
Right.
Think of all those people. You've met all those people. But when it comes time to autograph a book to somebody, October 1997, to Jeffrey Epstein, you write, "To Jeff, you are the greatest."
The greatest.
In all caps.
The greatest.
Think of all the people he's met professionally, all these kind of, most of those people, by the way.
Epstein is the greatest.
Yeah, and that's who he writes, "You're the greatest," to. Jeffrey
they have
Epstein.
A beautiful secret. The beautiful secret.
They got a beautiful secret. That's right.
Every day. Every day is another beautiful secret.
Yeah.
So,
Tara Dublin, you indeed do rock. I'm going to let you go because we're at the tail end.
I tried to the best of my ability. So everybody in the chat, hi, thank you for being here. Please follow me on all of the socials, Tara Dublin Rocks, Tara Dublin Rocks 1 on Instagram. I got a Substack at Tara Dublin. Hal is on Substack also. There's also my book, The Sound of Settling, a rock and roll love story, available now at TaraDublinRocks.com. The Tara Show tomorrow at 2 p.m. on the East Coast, 11 a.m. on the West Coast. Sherry Jacobus will be joining us tomorrow, so that'll be a lovely conversation. And I don't know, have I had the chance to even break this news on? I'm going to be filling in on Sirius XM Progress from time to time as a fill-in host, most likely for our friend John Fugelsang when he goes on book tour next month. But that'll be another opportunity to get the truth out into the world, because that's what she cares about the most. Everybody take care of each other, and hope I'll see you on Monday, probably.
I insist. That'd be great. All
right, sounds great. And we'll get you back on the Tara Show soon, too. All right?
Absolutely. Sounds great.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
There she goes. Ladies and gentlemen, Tara Dublin, who does indeed rock. Pick up her book, The Sound of Settling. And I got to tell you, the chat room, you guys are wonderful. Hi. Sorry I couldn't do a show yesterday. Family related. I'm okay. Not great, but I'm okay. I'm holding it together. You'd think stuff just certain difficulties in life just don't get easier. They just don't. And they're not going to, so you just deal. So luckily I have you guys and you're lovely. And I gotta say, this thing, why is this not bigger news? He gave him the Art of the Comeback was the book, and he autographed it to Jeffrey Epstein. But today was a good show, and thank you guys for being here, and I will see you guys this afternoon, and I will cover the entirety of this report on the Epstein cell block videotape, which is even more bullshit ridden than we were led to believe in the first place. Because holy shit. Like, there's just details none of us have until they come out. My God. Thank you, Jimbo, for subbing. Subscribe, everybody, if you would. Share the show. Patreon.com/HalSparks. Great way to support the show. Become a regular. You can become a member on the channels. And there's the Venmo. If you use Venmo, you can buy me a cup of coffee. And I appreciate you guys. And I will see you this afternoon. All right. And now I'm going to go get an IV and a nap. I think. That's the only way we can do it. All right. Let's see. Oh, and I was going to use my other regular music, but I'm enjoying the new theme so much. It just feels good, right? Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else, everybody. I'll see you later on this afternoon.